So how many tests have you been put to this week? How many temptations or how many tests have I had right up to here with tests already? I should be an A student, but I'm not. But I had a lot of tests, and I'm sure you guys all had a lot of tests. I'm sure you guys had a lot of tests in school, quizzes, our little tests. We all have tests, no matter if we're Landon's age or as old as Adam, as I am. Every single day we have tests. And the word test is equated or equals temptation. Temptation. They're the same thing. They're tests. We have them all the time. Do I feel like getting up to go to work tomorrow morning? That's always a good Monday morning test. Do I feel like doing this today or that today? Do I feel like being nice today? That's always a big test for me. If I asked you about temptations or tests, could many of you answer how many tests Jesus was given in today's gospel? Do you know how many, Michael? 3. Very good. Most people don't know how many tests. Very, very good. You have to think about it. That he passed
To
it.
make sure it wasn't
He passed the first test. But could many of us answer that question? I know I couldn't. Before I read the Gospel today, I couldn't. I forgot how many tests that Jesus was put to. And in Matthew and Mark and Luke, we see these 3 tests. They don't come in the same order. They're a little bit different, but they're found in all the synoptic Gospels, but not in the Gospel of St. John. This shows us that these 3 temptations are not in any chronological order, but they're just listed. So Christ goes through 3 tests in one day. The temptations of Christ were events to help Jesus. We know from studying the Old Testament that Jesus is the seed of the woman who will crush the serpent's head, and the devil knows this. Jesus is the seed also of our father Abraham, through whom all the families of the earth were blessed. Mary and Joseph also went through tests in their life, many, 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 many tests, especially the Blessed Mother. Her whole life was a big test. The first test that she had was, do you want to do this job or not? We could be praying to Gertrude if she said, nah, I'll pass on this one. But she said yes, and she passed the test. Moses Moshe passed the test when God said, you're going to lead the people of Israel, and he said, I can't, he stuttered. Terrible speaker, he stuttered all the time. And God says, I'll send Aaron to help you. He'll be your translator, he'll be your speaker, but I want you to bring the people to the promised land for 40 years. Jesus also is tempted like the Israelites in the desert. 40, not 40 years, but 40 days. 40 is a big number for us. Jesus is tempted in the wilderness. And one of the temptations was that Jesus was hungry. Jesus was a person. He starved when he didn't eat, like any of us. If any of us miss a meal or two, yesterday I missed lunch and I fell off my diet eating Twix, of all things, and I'm suffering this morning from it because of the sugar and the gluten and everything else that's in that lousy candy bar. But I was so hungry, I had a temptation yesterday. I had a test, and I failed it miserably. I grabbed 4 of them. One after, not the big ones, but the little ones, but just enough to raise my blood sugar and threw me out of whack for the whole week. That test I did not pass. We don't pass every one of them. When Satan comes to Jesus, he always looks for a weakness. With me, it's food all the time. It's always food. And he hits Jesus with the same thing. Jesus comes back, though, he's brighter than I am, and said, man shall not, because he tells them, that phone shouldn't be working, it must be a miracle. He tells them, man shall not live by bread alone. And he tells them, well, change these stones. I know you can change these stones into at least some wonder bread. And Jesus says, no, man shall not live by bread alone. And Satan knew that he had the power to do this, because later he fed 5,000 with 5 loaves and 2 fishes. Jesus' power and your power is never to be used to please the devil or even to satisfy your own needs. We try to get away from that. Jesus quotes from Deuteronomy addressing Israel about what happened. In Deuteronomy, they went around 40 years, and God fed them in the desert for 40 years, and still they were ungrateful. They were crabbing that the manna didn't taste that good after a while. That was flat. We also are the same. We complain. When God gives us something, we complain. We complain. This is a temptation that through Lent we could probably work on. I know I'm trying to work on it, is complain. Complain about the house being dirty. Complain about everything under the sun. Complain. Watch what we complain about. This is a test every single day of our life. And along with that test, we're going to have many, many, many more. A question that I'm going to ask you today is, are you at home? Are you at home with yourself during Lent or during your life? Right now in your life, are you at home? Do you feel at home with yourself? Or do you feel that you're still on the way home? Are you at home, or do you feel that you are still on the way home? This is a test. This is a test. You feel that God's presence is in your life and that you are at home with Him? Or do you feel like you're still, like the Jews in the desert, not quite reaching that promised land yet? Because I think that's a big, big issue, I think, with a lot of us. Are we at home with the presence of God? Is God with us every day? Is His presence with us every day? Or is it something in the future? We might get to it next Sunday. We might get to it Wednesday if we come to a small group. So we might get to it maybe next year or in another lifetime. Are you at home, or are you still on the way home? And I think that's a good question for all of us to ask. As we prepare ourselves for Lent, let us think of that. Are you already there, or are you like the Jews on your way home? Amen.
Amen.